The US-China relationship will always frame our relationship with China.
Geoff Raby, welcome to The Business. Is the Prime Minister's visit about increasing Australian exports to and dependence on China?
But certainly about increasing our trade and taking advantage of the tremendous commercial opportunities that China presents. But it's also securing our relationship with the dominant regional power. And that's very important, not only for our economic future, but our security as well.
On the weekend, it was tourism. Today, it was decarbonisation being talked about as a huge opportunity for both countries. As China's reliance on Australian iron ore decreases, will China have more of an opportunity to dictate the terms of this trading relationship?
Well, no, I think it's very much a two-way relationship. And I would also question the assumption that China's reliance on Australian iron ore is going to decrease. Although China's growth in demand for Australian iron ore, because its steel production growth is tapering off, the absolute volume of iron ore that we sell to China is such that even a small tick up in the percentage growth rate of demand for steel will lead to tremendous increase in demand for Australian iron ore. The market is just huge. It's over 1 billion tonnes a year. And I can tell you a story back in the 80s when I was in China that in the embassy, a Chinese premier said to our ambassador in 1989-90 that China will never import more than 100 million tonnes of iron ore. And now it's importing over 1 billion. So the growth has been phenomenal. But the important thing now is that as China leads the world in green energy transition, that we look to the opportunity of using our renewable energy to produce low carbon steel and really consider seriously the possibility of producing green steel in Australia for the China market.
So will China be as reliant on green steel and future green iron exports from Australia as it is currently from iron ore?
Well, I think it's just a continuation of that business, but using different energy to produce the steel and hopefully relocating that steel production in Australia. I mean, we have massive potential in terms of renewable energy. Ross Garnaut has written about this on numerous occasions in books, and he talks about Australia being the energy superpower of the future because of this very reason. So what we need to do, and I think this is what the Prime Minister is doing very cleverly during this visit, is actually looking at how both governments can put a government-to-government framework around future cooperation between Australia and China in the green steel area to lock it in and make sure that we're part of that future growth.
How will the new US approach to international trade frame or reframe Anthony Albanese's discussions in China?
Well, 2 points I'd make here, Kirsten. One is I think the Australian government response has been very adept, very clever in the way the Prime Minister stuck to our strong commitment to free trade and has not gone down the path of retaliatory tariffs. So I think that puts us in a very strong position vis-a-vis the United States. But secondly, because the Trump trade approach is upending the normal way the trade's been conducted and the way states deal with each other, usually through the WTO, it has a big impact on both China and Australia, and it will be framing much of the discussion that takes place.
Is the line Australia has to tread between China and the US now more difficult than ever before?
Well, I think it's always been difficult. I'm not sure it's any more difficult than previously. What's changed is that China has just become a bigger, more consequential power in the region. And obviously, it takes a third of our exports. It's always been of great economic importance to Australia. But the US-China relationship will always frame our relationship with China.
With China saying it wants to do more with Australia on artificial intelligence, is it indeed possible for Australia to put a moat around national and international security concerns while negotiating trade?
Yeah, look, I think we have to look at case by case as far as this goes. I think it's a shame people are saying up or down, yes or no on this subject, because as far as I understand it, AI is a very complex, diverse area. There'll be some parts of it, I'm sure, that have high levels of security concerns, and that needs to be ring-fenced if it's possible. But I'm sure there's many, many other areas where greater engagement between Australia and China is possible. After all, I mean, China is leading the world in open source IA um, uh, developments. And open source basically means that it's open to everyone to participate.
Given what we're talking about, artificial intelligence, national and international security concerns, US trade tensions, Donald Trump, can you give us an idea of just how candid President Xi and Anthony Albanese will be when they do meet? You have indeed sat in meetings with President Xi while he has met previous Australian delegations.
Yeah, my experience of President Xi is that he's quite formal in these meetings. We'll go through the Chinese talking points, but is very capable without briefing of holding his own in a discussion. And I think that goes the same for our Prime Minister. There'll be two opportunities, I think. One's in the formal meeting where each side basically works through their set points, and that should happen. But I understand there'll be an opportunity for much more informal gathering around dinner, around the dinner table. And I think that's where you'll get a much more open and a significant discussion that really adds value to this visit.
Geoff Raby, appreciate your insight.
My pleasure.